"You're not even my real aunt," my sister said, loud enough for everyone at the baby shower to hear. I just handed out $730 worth of gifts and covered $2,250 for the catering. My father smirked. "You should have known you weren't welcome here," he said. I didn't say a word. I blocked every dollar, then pulled up the video. "You're not even my real aunt?" Emma repeated, her voice sharp and loud enough to drown out the party music, slicing into my chest like a knife. I blinked once, not because I was confused, but because she wanted a reaction, and I wasn't going to give it. I just finished the last tray of crab-stuffed mushrooms, paid for the buffet, and booked the venue. The room was packed, pastel balloons, rented silver chairs, and a cake that looked more like a sculpture than a dessert. I footed the entire catering bill, $2,250, plus $730 for gifts, including a diaper genie, a stroller with wheels smoother than my career, and an absurdly expensive crib she'd only dreamed of. All of it was paid for by me, and in return, that line, thrown out like a punchline, as if I wasn't standing 5 feet away when she said it. She said it, loud enough for cousins to smirk and aunts to politely look away. I didn't respond. Not while I was still holding a gift bag. My father, who'd been mostly silent until then, chuckled behind his glass. "You should have known you weren't welcome," he said, like he was commenting on the weather. He sipped from a drink I'd paid for, sitting in the banquet hall I'd booked in my name, wearing the new shoes I'd bought him last Christmas, because his old ones were too tight. "You should have known," he repeated. That was the moment I stopped pretending. I set the gift bag on the nearest table, turned my phone screen toward me, and pressed the button I'd labeled Block Everything. It wasn't just blocking contacts. It was freezing bank transactions, cutting off utilities, executing 3 scheduled transfers, and sending one very specific email with a video attachment. The subject line read, "To whom it may concern." I didn't speak. I didn't cry. I didn't even blink again. I just walked out. But the story doesn't end there. That line, that smug chuckle, they were just the trigger. What they didn't know was that I'd been planning my exit for months. I wasn't just keeping receipts. I was recording them. I didn't leave the baby shower in a rage. I left in a vacuum, like someone had cut off the oxygen in the room and I was the only one who noticed. By the time I got to my car, my phone was already lighting up with texts from my mother. "You misunderstood Emma. She's hormonal. Don't ruin the day over a silly joke. Let's talk when you calm down." But no one got it. I wasn't angry. I was exhausted, drained, from being their walking ATM, their on-call therapist, their backup plan. This wasn't the first time, not even close. Last year, I paid Emma's rent for 9 months while she worked on her blog. I covered Dad's medical debt when he said the insurance company messed up the paperwork. I even flew home last Christmas after Mom guilted me, saying the holidays weren't the same without me. I ended up cooking a full dinner for 12 while they watched TV, and Emma posted a TikTok claiming she did it all herself. No one corrected her. No one ever did. And when I tried to pull back, just a little, they painted me as the villain. 3 weeks before the baby was due, when I tried to set boundaries, Emma called, asking if I could handle a few extra things before the baby arrived. A crib, a car seat, maternity clothes, and a cleaning service she found on Instagram. I told her I was stretched thin. She didn't respond for 2 days, then posted on Facebook about real family with a photo of a gift from someone else, tagging everyone but me in the comments. "Shining like a Christmas tree. That's how you do it, Emma. You deserve it all. Some people don't know how to love for real." They all knew who she meant. They always did. My mother loved playing peacemaker, but she never stopped Emma, not once. She'd just call me later, her voice soft, like we were co-conspirators in some tragedy we never named. She didn't mean it. You know how she is? It's just stress. But stress doesn't justify manipulation, especially not what I found 2 nights before the shower. I wasn't snooping. I was gathering digital receipts for tax season, trying to track expenses I'd covered. But when I opened our shared cloud account, which Emma still had access to from years ago, I found a folder labeled baby shower stuff. Inside were dozens of screenshots, group chats, PDFs, and a spreadsheet titled Backup. My name was listed next to every item in her registry, with Plan B and Plan C assigned to other guests. "Buy it, and say it's from Grandma. One note read. Another tab. Catering cost $2,250. Paid. Status. Yes. Let her think it's all good. I sat there in silence, and that's when something in me snapped. They weren't just using me. They'd planned it, banked on it, that I wouldn't say no. So I backed up the folder and saved it to a flash drive. I was ready. That's why I didn't flinch when she said I wasn't a real aunt. That's why I didn't scream when Dad laughed like I was the punchline of a family joke. I knew what was coming next, but I needed one more piece of proof, so I dug deeper. I knew Emma had lied before about money, jobs, relationships, but I'd never had evidence. This time I did. In the cloud storage, I found audio files labeled with dates and one called Proof for CPS, just in case. She was saving it to use against someone else. I hit play. Emma's voice. I'd make up a story if they tried to make me work again. Just cry a little, say something about postpartum, they'll back off. Background noise, laughter, then my father's voice. That's my girl. That's how it's done. That was it, the whole plan in 12 seconds. Manipulate, play the victim, get rewarded. I copied that file and then delivered the final blow. Remember that video she asked me to record? She wanted me to capture a walkthrough of the banquet hall before the guests arrived to get some good shots. I did it, as always, because I wanted to help, but she didn't realize I forgot to stop recording. The camera kept rolling as she walked past the dessert table with her friend and whispered, "She better cry when she sees all this, or I'll send that voicemail from Miami." Her friend laughed. "You still have her, Emma. She doesn't know how much I'm counting on her." I don't cry easily, but in that moment, I understood this was never love. It was leverage. They weren't family, they operated like a syndicate. They used me, pushed too far, and thought my silence meant surrender. But I wasn't silent. I was calculating. The morning after the baby shower, I sent exactly 5 packages, each containing a USB drive, a printed transcript, and a simple note for context. In case you forgot what you were laughing about, the addresses: Emma's workplace, my father's golf club, my mother's church group, 2 gossip-prone cousins, and the family group chat. The last one was like a match on gasoline. See, they forgot I was the one who taught half the family how to use technology. They left me with admin rights to the family Google Drive, the old shared folder we used for planning events, photos, recipes, and contacts. I privately shared the footage with certain family members who'd mocked me, not out of revenge, but to remind them what they were laughing at. They watched it. Oh, they watched it. How do I know? My phone started blowing up at 6:12 a.m. First Aunt Linda, then Uncle Pete, then Emma, then Mom, then Dad. I didn't answer. The video started with that baby shower clip. Emma's voice crystal clear. "You're not even my real aunt." Then it cut to her whispering by the dessert table. "She better cry, or I'll send that voicemail from Miami." I included the spreadsheet, the catering plan, the manipulation. Someone in the family chat reposted an old message Manny forgot to delete, and suddenly everything clicked. Then came the audio. "Dad, that's my girl." 12 seconds that changed everything. The family group chat's tone shifted fast. My cousin Mandy, who hadn't spoken in 2 years, posted, "What is this? Is this what we celebrated?" Then silence, until Emma posted one word, "fake." So I shared a time-stamped screenshot from the original cloud file, a screen recording showing her name as the initial uploader, and a selfie of me holding the original backup drive. Finally, a message. "If it's fake, Emma, play the original video. We all know you have it. Play." She didn't. Not online, not in private. At her workplace, they started digging. Apparently, questions were raised. I wasn't involved. I only heard later that things got messy. You smell blood before you realize you're bleeding. My father texted, "What have you done? What have you done?" I replied, "You raised me. What did you expect?" He didn't respond. But Mom did. She left a voicemail, breathless. "You've gone too far. This was just family business. You didn't need to make it public. You humiliated us." That was the point. They built a house of mirrors. I just shattered the glass. But I wasn't done. I filed a small claims lawsuit, not for money but for ownership of the video content. I was the one who filmed and edited it. They used it without permission, spread it around, and mocked me. I filed for unauthorized distribution and defamation. It was minor, but it signaled that I now owned my story. And just when they thought it couldn't get worse, I sent one final file to my mother's church pastor. It was another voicemail from Emma. I don't care what Mom says. I'm not giving her a role at the baptism. She's a joke, just a cash machine. My mother called, sobbing, then wailing, then begging me not to send it to the women's circle. They'll never forgive me, she said. She knew it was too late. I didn't need to send anything. Rumors spread on their own. By the next prayer meeting, everyone knew this wasn't about revenge. It was about ending the performance for good. For a week, I didn't say a word. I ignored calls, didn't open texts, went to work, brewed coffee, cleaned my apartment, and watched old TV shows on mute. The world was loud, but I was quiet and calm because I knew what was coming. On the 8th day, I sent a letter, a physical one, in a sealed envelope, mailed certified. It contained a statement from the head of a law firm, where my former boss's son now works, the guy I once helped rewrite his resume. The letter outlined a separation agreement, personal clarifications about the family name, the family trust, and everything tied to it. I mailed it to the financial office of the school where my mom works, the Veterans Club where my dad volunteers, Emma's apartment rental office, and every mailbox of relatives who'd silently watched for years. No drama, no whining, just facts, my signature, and verified documents. I declared I was no longer a financial guarantor for any family member. I was removing myself from all shared accounts, joint credit histories, and family permissions. Starting June 1, I wouldn't cover any expenses. I kept records proving manipulation, fraud, and emotional abuse, ready to use if anyone tried to retaliate. That final paragraph hit the hardest. The letter wasn't revenge, it was liberation. You can't demand loyalty while offering only leverage. You can't demand silence after public humiliation. You can't demand family while acting like debt collectors. This wasn't a lawsuit, it was severance. It wasn't an online performance. It was a declaration of freedom. And it landed on them like a falling brick. Mom reacted first. She called my workplace. No one answered. Then she called my colleague. But that went nowhere. 3 hours later, she emailed my company's financial department with a bizarre request to consider family context before making assumptions about official statements. My manager forwarded it to me with one line: "You were right to set boundaries. Let me know if you want us to block her." The Veterans Club, clutching their pristine folder, insisted the letter was fake, that I was bluffing and would never follow through. One of my old veteran friends sent me a photo of Dad in the lobby, red-faced and flustered, trying to explain why it wasn't real. But the envelope bore my signature, a notarized affidavit, and airtight legal language. When he couldn't talk his way out, he did something worse. He went to Mom's church office and begged the treasurer to squash the rumors. A woman in her 60s, with a quiet voice, looked him in the eye and said, "I read the letter. I know what I saw. I'm done with this." He didn't respond. He just walked away silently. But Emma took the real hit. The same day the letter reached her, she posted on social media, claiming it was all lies. A representative from the housing services company called, not because I reported anything, but because someone from the mailing list did. Someone read the part about me paying for baby formula, daycare, and even medical insurance while Emma listed herself as the sole provider on her housing application. That triggered an audit. 2 people from her job were called in for a clarification meeting. An ex-friend sent me a screenshot. Is it true she never paid for the formula? That her sister covered everything? That's what a certified letter does. It delivers truth like a boiler exploding. The family erupted: more threats, new fake accounts, anonymous emails to my HR department, even a handwritten reconciliation invite dripping with guilt. I didn't go. Instead, I did something better. I ordered a custom nameplate for my new apartment, a small sign on the door that read, "No deliveries for family name. Return to sender." 2 days later, someone tried to pry it off. I installed a camera and caught my father, keys in hand, trying to unlock my door like nothing had happened. I called the police. He fled before they arrived. That was their last attempt. A week later, I got a final letter from Emma, written in shaky handwriting, but sincere. If you're done with us, please burn this after reading it. For the first time, she didn't demand, she asked.
I read it.
She didn't burn it, I did. There were no excuses, no manipulations, just one line that stopped me cold. You were the aunt I never deserved and the sister I should have protected. I didn't reply, but I kept the letter. No promises, no reconciliation, because forgiveness isn't required, only distance. I haven't heard from any of them in 6 weeks. No calls, no knocks, no texts. Not even a cousin's whisper pretending to stay neutral. Just heavy, humming silence. The kind that comes before a storm. But this time, I was the storm. I knew they were regrouping. That's how families like mine work. They don't apologize, they strategize, waiting for emotions to cool just enough to slide back in like nothing happened. I stayed one step ahead. I changed my phone number, got a new SIM card with no forwarding, left group chats, and filed a formal request with my provider to flag their numbers as spam. Yes, my own family. I even updated my will with specific instructions. If any of their names appeared in a legal claim after my death, it would trigger an automatic audit and a denial clause. Then I sent one final letter, not to them but to the people who mattered. The rental office, Emma still owed, the HR department of Mom's school district, and the financial institution where Dad pretended to have a stake in pension investments. Each letter was short, clear, and direct, confirming I was no longer financially, emotionally, or legally tied to full names of recipients. Any attempt to link me to them, vouch for them, or use my name or documents would be met with an immediate certified, tracked, and documented legal response. By the time the last envelope was mailed, my phone lit up again, this time from strangers. Emma's former coworker, a woman from Dad's golf club, one of Mom's old colleagues who always stayed out of it. The message was always the same. I had no idea. I'm sorry. If I'd known, I'd have said something. Too late. But the sign. One morning, finally free, I sat on the balcony of my new high-rise apartment, overlooking the skyline, sipping black coffee in peace. A package arrived, no ashes, just a name handwritten on the return label. Inside was a photo album, one of those cheap leather-bound books you'd find at a gas station. It held pictures from our childhood. Me holding her hand on Halloween, pushing her on swings, riding her bike, standing alone at my college graduation that no one attended. On the last page, she wrote, "You raised me. I just never gave you credit." Taped to the back was a key and a sticky note. "Storage unit at 9th and Grant. It's all yours. I don't want to keep any of it. I never went." I threw out the key because she didn't get it. I was no longer her vault. As for my mother, I heard through a friend that she quietly retired early, claiming it was stress. But I knew the real reason. The school sidelined her after my letter raised questions about documentation and conflicts of interest. They didn't fire her, but they made it so uncomfortable that she left on her own. The thrift store volunteers said she was helping out there now. I'd like to say I hope she finds peace, but I don't. She had decades to speak up, and every time she stayed silent, the noose around me tightened. Then my father did something I didn't expect. He sent a postcard. Not a letter, not a voicemail, but a postcard, like a tourist. The cover showed a mountain, as if he was trying to impart some wisdom. All it said was, "You win. Enjoy it while it lasts." No apology, no accountability, just bitterness typed in courier font. I laughed out loud when I read it, because it was funny. He still thought this was a game. He still didn't get that it wasn't about winning. It was about leaving the arena entirely. 3 days ago, I got an email from a woman named Madison, Emma's old college roommate. She wrote, "I found a box of stuff Emma left at my place years ago. Diaries, notes, letters about you. There's a lot. I just thought you should know." She's carried guilt longer than you think. It didn't change anything. I didn't reply because it really didn't matter. Last night, I did something small, a final act. I printed a label and stuck it on my new mailbox, white background, black letters, nothing fancy. It read, "Return to sender. No such family exists here." Then I closed the lid, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel watched. I didn't feel owed. I didn't feel the need to explain who I was or prove what I'd given. Because now, finally, I'd taken it all back. They can't undo what they never built. Not this world, not this silence, not this version of me.